Hi everyone, Olivia Reiner here for Packers News, joined by Ryan Wood. Today we're taking a look at the defensive line and talking a little bit about who was great this past season, who was not so great, and what will definitely need to improve this upcoming season. So Kenny Clark, right off the bat, had a really impressive season. He's 23 years old. What made him so special?
Gosh, that's a great point. Being 23 years old is probably where to start. He's so young, and yet he's already progressed so far in just a few years. You know, being a former first-round pick, one of the ones for Ted Thompson that really panned out. The biggest jump for him, and it's rare to find an interior defensive lineman with that kind of pass rush burst that he showed. And it was a question mark of his. He's a big guy. He's played nose at UCLA. I think everyone expected him to be a good run stuffer, a run defender, and a guy that can assume multiple blockers and those sort of things. But the pass rush, that's what separates those guys on the interior, and it's hard to find a guy like that. What Kenny Clark did as a pass rusher in 2018, it sets him up to be a Pro Bowler going forward. I mean, that's the type of production that he showed. He was an alternate this past year, and being only 23, I mean, my goodness, that's a good asset to have as a young interior pass rusher that should still have a lot. I mean, being 20, there's a lot of room for him to still grow as good as he was.
Kenny Clark finished the season on IR along with the other top two former defensive line starters for the Packers, Mo Wilkerson, Mike Daniels. So it put a lot of pressure on some of the younger guys like Dean Lowry, rookies Tyler Lancaster, Montravius Adams to step up and fill their roles. What was that transition like, and do you think that they did a good job?
You know, Montravius Adams is entering a critical, really a make-or-break offseason for him. He's a guy who, when they had the injuries, he's a former third-round pick. When they had the injuries, you'd expect him to step up into more snaps, and it just didn't happen, primarily because he wasn't ready for it. And physically, he's got a lot of athleticism. He's a big guy. He's a long guy with long arms. There's a lot to like from the physical, athletic side. It's just a matter of, one, the power to play inside, and two, being able to play quick enough with the game. And those are things that you work on in the offseason. I mean, I think it's a huge offseason for him coming up. Tyler Lancaster was a guy that was impressive, and he kind of leapfrogged Montravius Adams on the depth chart, got more snaps, and he's limited athletically with what he can do, and he's never going to be an elite pass rusher or anything like that. But he's a guy that on the interior was able to take blockers and defended the run pretty well. He's just a solid player. So they've got some youth there, but as you mentioned, going into the season, the defensive line profiled as the strength of this defense because of what they had up front. And for all three of those guys, all three of those starters to finish the year on IR is a good example of what Mike Pettin had to deal with this year as a first-year defense coordinator here in Green Bay. The injuries that they had, if they could stay healthier there, they've been able to develop some depth behind some of the frontline guys that they have.
So, some reason for optimism. Now, will the Packers consider bringing back Mo Wilkerson, who will be a free agent this offseason? It's
a great question because he, broke his leg week 3, had Kentrell Bryce roll into him after missing a tackle, and they lost something there when he went down in Washington. He was a guy that they wanted to provide some pass rush. It didn't look like he had much pass rush ability just through the first couple weeks, but he was solid as an anchor for the defensive line, especially against the run. He was tough to move, a big, powerful guy. And I think with Mike Pettin as defensive coordinator, that gives him a good chance that you'll see him back on a team-friendly deal. Mo Wilkerson's a Mike Pettin guy. The question is his health, the broken leg, that's the unknown. If that checks out, I would expect that there's a fair chance that he'll be back just because that fit with his defensive coordinator is so good.
Mm-hmm. Just the health questions surrounding a lot of the position groups on defense. Definitely something that we've been talking about and something that will remain a theme for the rest of our position grades as we continue along in this series. Hopefully you guys learned something new, had a little bit of fun reflecting with us. As I just mentioned, we will be reviewing the other positions as well. So please, if you're not already there, you probably are, head over to PackersNews.com. We'll have other grades up, and we'll be taking a look at some more this upcoming week. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.